Medieval castles are often remembered as places of safety, strength, and protection. But if you were suddenly dropped into one, you would not survive even a single day, because the castle itself would slowly destroy you the moment its heavy gates closed behind you, starting with the smell. A thick, sour stench of rotting food, human waste, smoke trapped in stone, sweat soaked into walls that have never been cleaned, followed by the crushing realization that sunlight barely reaches the ground, leaving the courtyard dark, muddy, and slick with filth, blood, and animal droppings that pull at your feet with every step, while towering walls loom above you like a prison designed not for comfort but for control. And as you are forced through narrow, twisting corridors built to trap invaders, a deep, wet cold seeps into your bones, moisture bleeding from the sweating stone walls, filling the air with constant coughing that no one reacts to because everyone here is sick. And when you finally enter the Great Hall, the reality shatters the fantasy. Thick smoke burns your eyes. People eat shoulder to shoulder from shared bowls with bare hands, flies crawling freely over boiled, salted meat and rock-hard bread that has been reheated for days. And before you can even swallow, human waste is dumped from above into the courtyard below, because there are no real toilets, only chamber pots emptied wherever convenient, spreading disease that once inside these walls can never escape. And when night falls, the darkness becomes absolute, broken only by flickering torches that stretch shadows across stone, leading you to a straw mattress crawling with fleas and rats where sleep is impossible amid coughing, metal clanking, and distant screams no one explains, while the cold intensifies even in summer, freezing people to death indoors as heat vanishes into high ceilings, and by dawn your body already feels weak, lungs burned by smoke, skin crawling with itch, stomach revolting against the food. And yet this is considered a good day. No siege, no plague, no punishment, until you notice scratches carved into the stone near the gate, hundreds of tally marks counting days that suddenly stop, revealing the truth that the castle was never meant to keep people alive, only to endure long after they were gone, and you have not even seen the worst of it yet. By the time the castle is fully awake, you realize that survival here is not about strength or bravery, but about enduring a system that grinds people down day after day. Because once the morning work begins, you are pulled deeper into the places visitors never see, starting with the kitchens, where the smell is worse than anywhere else in the fortress. A thick mix of rancid fat, mold, smoke, and decay that coats your throat as soon as you enter, where massive cauldrons bubble constantly, not with fresh ingredients, but with whatever has not yet spoiled enough to be thrown away. Meat crawling with worms cut open and boiled until the movement stops. Bread scraped clean of mold and soaked so it can still be swallowed. Water hauled from wells already contaminated by waste seeping through stone. And this is what feeds everyone from servants to nobles. Because food safety does not exist here, only necessity. And as cooks stir endlessly with bare hands scarred by burns and infections, you notice fingers missing, skin blackened, eyes dull with exhaustion. Because kitchens are some of the most dangerous places in the castle, where fires rage all day, smoke suffocates lungs, and a single slip can mean falling into boiling liquid with no doctor to save you. And speaking of doctors, you quickly learn that medicine here is more dangerous than disease, because illness is constant. Coughing, fever, sores that never heal, teeth rotting until pain becomes unbearable, and the so-called healers treat sickness with bloodletting, leeches, and superstition, draining already weakened bodies until many simply never stand up again. And as the day drags on, you are ordered to carry supplies through stairwells so narrow and steep they seem designed to break legs, spiraling clockwise to favor defenders, forcing your body to twist unnaturally with every step. And when you stumble, you are not helped, because help slows the work, and the work never stops, not even when someone collapses, because there are always more bodies waiting to replace them. And eventually you are led past the door most people pretend not to see, thick wood reinforced with iron, behind which the temperature drops instantly, the air turning stale and heavy, and you understand you are near the dungeons. Not dramatic chambers of torture as shown in stories, but dark pits carved into rock where light barely reaches, where prisoners are lowered by rope and often forgotten, left to rot in their own waste until starvation or madness takes them. And as you pass, you hear whispers that do not sound human anymore, voices rasping prayers, curses, or nothing at all, because isolation here destroys the mind long before the body fails. And even if you are never imprisoned, the fear of this place shapes everyone's behavior, keeping heads down and mouths shut, because punishment does not require guilt, only inconvenience. And when afternoon comes, the castle grows louder but no less oppressive, metal ringing from training yards where soldiers practice endlessly, knowing that battle is one of the few ways to die quickly, while others envy them for that chance. And all the while the walls continue to sweat, the air remains unmoving, and disease spreads invisibly from hand to hand, bowl to bowl, straw mattress to straw mattress, until by evening someone else is burning with fever, someone else is vomiting blood. Leave a comment below to tell us what you thought. Do you think You could survive even one day inside a medieval castle? Someone else is being dragged away quietly so life can continue uninterrupted, and as darkness falls again you realize how completely the castle controls time itself, because without clocks or clear light, days blur together, exhaustion becomes permanent, and hope erodes until survival feels less like living and more like waiting, and lying down once more on infested straw, listening to rats skitter across stone and distant screams echo through corridors designed to carry sound but not mercy. You finally understand that medieval castles were not monuments to safety or greatness, but machines built to consume human lives slowly, efficiently, and without remorse. And if you were truly trapped here, even if you avoided sickness, punishment, and starvation, the environment alone, the cold, the darkness, the filth, the fear, would break you, not all at once, but piece by piece, until one morning you simply did not rise when the bell rang, and someone else stepped over you without stopping. As the days pass inside the castle, you begin to realize that routine suffering is only the calm before something far worse, because sooner or later disaster always arrives, and when it does there is nowhere to run, starting with sickness, which does not announce itself loudly but creeps in quietly, first as a fever in one corner of the hall, then as coughing that deepens into choking, then as blackened sores blooming across skin already weakened by cold and hunger, and at first people pretend it is nothing, because acknowledging disease means admitting fear. But by the time bodies begin to pile up, the truth can no longer be ignored, and the castle becomes a perfect breeding ground for plague, with waste seeping into water, fleas jumping from rat to human, and smoke-filled air trapping infection within stone walls that never breathe. And once the word spreads that sickness is inside, panic sets in, doors are barred, rooms are sealed, entire families locked inside to die together. Because containment matters more than mercy, and if you are unlucky enough to be near the infected, guards will force you into isolation without explanation, leaving you to wait in darkness, listening to screams turn into silence one by one, and even if you remain healthy, hunger quickly follows, because when disease spreads, work stops, and when work stops, food runs out, and the kitchens that once barely sustained life fall silent. Cauldrons empty, bread gone, water rationed, turning neighbors into rivals and desperation into violence. And it is during these moments that the castle reveals its most dangerous weakness: fire, because flames are used everywhere, for cooking, warmth, and light, and all it takes is one unattended torch. One spark caught in dry straw, one panicked movement, and suddenly smoke fills the corridors faster than any enemy army ever could, people blinded, coughing, trampling each other in darkness as flames climb wooden beams hidden within stone, and unlike open towns, castles trap fire inside, turning hallways into ovens and stairwells into chimneys, roasting those who cannot find their way out, and when the blaze finally dies, the castle stands blackened but intact, while dozens lie dead, suffocated or burned, because the structure matters more than the lives inside it. And then comes the siege, the slowest death of all, when enemies surround the fortress and the gates close for weeks or months, cutting off all supply, forcing those inside to ration what little remains, eating rats, boiling leather, scraping mold from walls, watching children starve while nobles argue over portions, and as morale collapses, trust evaporates. Whispers spread of betrayal, of secret tunnels, of sacrifices made to survive one more day, and through it all the castle remains cold, dark, and unfeeling, watching as people break psychologically, some praying endlessly, some laughing at nothing, some simply staring at the walls until they stop responding altogether. And if the siege ends, whether through victory or surrender, the damage remains, because survival has changed everyone, hollowing them out, leaving behind bodies that breathe but spirits that are already gone. And by now you understand that death inside a medieval castle rarely arrives dramatically, but instead creeps in through exhaustion, fear, and despair, until one day you realize you no longer remember what hope feels like, and that is when the castle truly wins. By the time you reach what feels like the end of your strength, you discover that the castle has one final method of control left, something far more terrifying than hunger, disease, or fire, because punishment here is not simply about justice but about fear made public, about reminding everyone watching that life inside these walls is conditional, and it begins with accusations that rarely require proof, whispered suspicions that spread faster than plague, until one morning you are dragged into the courtyard with the others, forced to stand in the cold while guards prepare a display meant to be unforgettable, because executions are not hidden away but performed openly, beneath the same towers that once promised safety, and you watch as prisoners are paraded before the crowd, some guilty, many not, their crimes ranging from theft to disobedience to simply being in the wrong place at the wrong time. And there is no mercy in the process, no swift ending, only methods designed to maximize suffering, stocks that crush limbs until bones break, hangings that take long, choking minutes, beheadings that often fail on the first strike, while the crowd is forced to watch in silence, because cheering is dangerous and crying marks weakness, and this spectacle is repeated often enough that fear becomes routine, embedding itself deep into everyone's behavior, teaching them to obey without question, to suppress anger, to accept cruelty as normal, and as days continue you realize that even those who enforce these punishments are trapped by them, because guards live under the same conditions, eat the same food, breathe the same air, and fear becoming the next example if they fail, creating a cycle where violence sustains itself, and beyond the courtyard lie chambers few ever enter willingly, interrogation rooms where darkness and isolation do most of the work, where prisoners are kept awake for days, deprived of light and sound, left alone until their minds begin to fracture. Because the greatest weapon the castle has is not pain but time, endless, empty time spent waiting for something terrible to happen, and even if you avoid punishment yourself, the constant exposure to suffering erodes your sense of self, making survival feel meaningless, until one evening you realize that you have stopped flinching at screams, stopped reacting to death, stopped feeling anything at all, and that numbness is the final stage of life inside the castle, because once fear no longer shocks you, the castle has claimed you completely, turning you into another silent figure moving through its corridors, obeying bells, enduring cold, and waiting for an ending that never arrives. And it is in that hollow state that you understand the cruelest truth of all, that the castle does not need to kill you to win, it only needs to make you forget who you were before you entered its gates. By the time you understand that survival inside the castle is not measured in days, but in how much of yourself you are willing to lose, it is already too late, because even if the gates were to open tomorrow and you were allowed to walk free, the castle would leave with you, embedded in your body and mind, etched into your breathing and your thoughts, since months or years of cold stone, darkness, hunger, and fear reshape a person permanently, teaching you to wake before the bell rings, to eat quickly before food disappears, to avoid eye contact, to flinch at raised voices, to sleep lightly because silence is never safe, and you would carry the weight of everything you saw, the bodies dragged away at dawn, the screams echoing through corridors designed to amplify despair, the children who grew old too fast, the neighbors who vanished without explanation, until the outside world itself felt unreal, too open, too bright, too quiet. Because medieval castles do not release people back into life, they return shadows, and this is why history remembers castles as symbols of power rather than humanity, because the stone endured while generations of lives were consumed within it, forgotten the moment they stopped being useful, and even those who lived their entire lives inside those walls rarely left a name behind, reduced to scratches on stone, unmarked graves, or nothing at all, and when you look back now, standing outside the walls at last, you realize the cruelest truth of all. That castles were never built to protect the people inside them, but to project strength outward, to intimidate enemies, to survive sieges, time, and decay, while human beings were always expendable, replaceable, temporary, and if you had truly lived there, you would not remember the castle as majestic or historic, but as a slow, grinding machine that erased comfort, compassion, and identity one day at a time, until the only thing left was endurance without meaning, and that is why you would not survive a single day in a medieval castle, not because your body would fail immediately, but because everything that makes life worth surviving would be stripped away long before the walls ever fell. If you made it all the way to the end, that means this story stayed with you, so make sure to like this video, because every like helps us bring you more dark and realistic stories from history, and leave a comment below to tell us what you thought. Do you think you could survive even one day inside a medieval castle? And if you enjoy deep, immersive stories like this, don't forget to subscribe to the channel and turn on notifications, so you never miss the next video.